To finish this off, I want to go briefly into The Myth of Sisyphus by Albert Camus, who is an existentialist, absurdist philosopher, also a student of Nietzsche. The Myth of Sisyphus. Sisyphus was a Greek king who lived a long time, and eventually Hades, the god of death, came up to chain him and bring him to the underworld. And Hades said, "It's time to go." And Sisyphus, a very crafty man, cunning man, said, "Those chains you have, how do you know they work?" And Hades is like, "I don't know." So he says, "Why don't you try them on yourself first? Put them around yourself to see if they fit." And so he does. And he puts his chains around him and he says, "Oh, they work. Can you let me out now so I can take you to the underworld?" And Sisyphus laughs and pushes him into a closet, goes on living. Now the gods, after a few days, realize no one's dying. People are getting their heads chopped off in battle and grabbing their heads, putting it back on. People are getting run over, dying, and then coming back to life because, Hades can't take them to the underworld. So death is ended, and they figure out what's happened. They find Hades, and they find out what happened, and Sisyphus is fucked. They take Sisyphus to the underworld, and they subject him to the worst punishment possible. Pushing a boulder up a hill, only for it to fall down as soon as it reaches the top. Sisyphus is constantly in a state of struggle and suffering. He pushes the boulder up the hill only for it to fall down, and there's nothing he can do about it. Now, Albert Camus says this is an analogy for our life. And not to pity Sisyphus, but to be inspired by him. That we must think Sisyphus as happy as he pushes the boulder up the hill. At every moment he's suffering. But the greatest way that we can rebel against a lack of meaning in our lives is to be happy nonetheless. Despite the fact that there is no hope, we are still free of anxiety, and we let things happen as they happen. We do not, as Epictetus says, we should not be afraid of the things that are outside of our control, and we should not feel anxiety for the things that are outside of our control.